Good evening. So, welcome to this evening class on blissful abiding of body and mind. And actually, today is the last session of this course. And I'd like to start off by reviewing a bit of what we have covered so far, and then to touch on new materials today. So in this course, I was interested in exploring and sharing what I've learned about the developing or cultivating meditative absorption. So as the name implies, is a state of mind taking place or happening in meditation, where we experience absorption means our attention, full attention is absorbed or fully engaged in whatever it is we are meditating on or we are attending to. And not only are we fully absorbed and engaged, it's usually accompanied by really wonderful feelings, pleasant feelings. It's a very enjoyable experience, which is why I'm so interested in it. In fact, I've been exploring this for maybe more than 30 years, because this is the type of meditation that first drawn me to meditate many, many years ago. And I have always been finding myself coming back to this type of meditation. And so, by the way, since we are live, you're most welcome to post your comments or feedback or questions in the live chat, and I'll try to attend to them. Quite often, when we learn about or talk about developing meditative absorption, or sometimes we also talk about it in terms of the term calm abiding, calming the mind of all the mind and body as well, all the different disturbance, the distraction, the agitations, so that body and mind can really settle down into meditation, can really abide peacefully and blissfully in meditation. So there's another name for it, yeah. And quite often it's presented in terms of stages. Stage one, you're here, this is your experience. Stage two, you're there, and that will be your experience. And there's always different recommendation or guidelines to how to get from one stage to another. The thing about this presentation is these stages are not permanent. So we may start from stage 0, and then finally, after a while, we progress to stage 1, and then stage 2, we say, oh, wonderful. And then suddenly life intervenes, circumstances change. And then you may find that from stage 2, you suddenly fall back to stage 0, or sometimes even to stage -1, where you can't even get yourself to sit still. So although there's nothing wrong with the presentation in terms of stages, I thought to mention it because it can have a certain kind of it can mislead us to think that the stages are permanent. Unfortunately, not. Yeah. So we do go up and down, like going up and down a ladder or something like that. Yeah. Instead, I like to present it and look at it from a different point of view. The steps I talk about is how can we gather the conditions that facilitate entering deep into our meditation practice. What are the conditions that facilitate this coming together of body and mind, so that they can abide in meditation? So the steps are learning how to create and bring together all these conditions. Yeah. So, and also because I like to have this, I have been talking about this idea of starting off with a lower standard in our practice, instead of setting a very high standard and therefore high expectation, and finding it very frustrating in our daily practice that we are not meeting our own expectations, that we are constantly being disappointed or frustrated. Yeah. So I'm suggesting, well, why not start from a lower standard? And today I'm going to talk about my lower standard of meditative absorption. A lower standard just means that it's something a lot easier to achieve, a lot more accessible. And by achieving it, by arriving at it, it's very encouraging, it's very empowering. We say, oh, I made it. I made it on a lower level, of course. I made it, and therefore you are encouraged, you are empowered to continue to pursue it, to deepen it, to enhance it. Yeah. So, what are the conditions that facilitates this settling into calm abiding or meditative absorption? So, I've been talking about this over the last few weeks. First, one way to present it is cultivating mindfulness of body. Mindfulness of body simply means paying attention to your own body, noticing the simple sensations of the body, reconnecting the mind with the body. And something magical happen when we are able to reconnect our body with our mind. And that reconnection helps the body, facilitate the body to begin a process of adjusting. The bodies realize, oh, maybe my life is not in danger. Maybe the objects of stress, the source of stress is not here. Maybe then I can start to de-stress. I can invoke, sometimes called the relaxation response, which is the opposite of our fight or flight response. Yeah, which is our response to stressful situations. Yeah. So the body can start to unwind and put aside all the different bodily reactions, the tensions, the tightness, and the discomfort that comes along with them. Yeah. So that I thought is a very important conditions, physically able to settle more and more comfortably into the meditation posture. Right? So there's mindfulness of body. And the more we are able to do this, the deeper that sense of release, the stronger is that relaxation response. Naturally, what comes out of it is a feeling of pleasure. And this is pleasure associated with your meditation. There's not pleasures associated with playing computer games. I must be very obsessed with computer games because I often use it as an example. Pleasures from lately I've been binge watching YouTube videos, yeah, or pleasures that come from other things, other kind of activity. No, so these are pleasures that is associated with meditation, right? And so that brings us to the second conditions: mindfulness of feelings. In particular, mindful of pleasant feelings that come out of our meditation practice. So what happens when we are mindful of something really nice, enjoyable, coming out of our meditation or together with our meditation? What kind of effect that may have? What that does is it reassures our mind that, hey, maybe everything is okay for now. No, after all, it's feeling very nice, very pleasant, comfortable. Maybe even my mind doesn't need to be so agitated, so tight, so busy. And so that facilitates the mind to release some of its reactivity, release some of the agitations, the worries, all from contacting and noticing something pleasant is happening in my meditation. Right. So through these first two applications of mindfulness of body, mindfulness of pleasant feelings, but pleasant feelings from within meditation, I have created the conditions of the settling down of body and mind, the release of some of the physical reactions, physical reactivities and mental reactivities, right? I think these two conditions are very crucial for us to be able to settle really deep and fully into our meditation. Because just think of it, if the body is not settled, the body is not comfortable, it's always fidgeting, always something wrong, something not right, we can't settle it. Right? And likewise, the mind, if the mind is not reassured, the mind is frightened, worried, anxious, or upset. Then the mind is constantly acting up. Then you also find that it's very hard to enjoy our meditation, isn't it? So these first two conditions of the settling down of body and mind, not completely, but the beginning of the settling down, the beginning of the release of some of the physical and mental reactivities are very important. So these two conditions are created through the practice of mindfulness of body and mindfulness of feelings. Okay. And then the third conditions come. The more we are able to do these first two, you'll find that automatically, without any effort on our part, we become more aware of our own mind. We become more aware of what is happening within ourselves, in our own mind. What is influencing or affecting my mind, or mind also means the heart. And so that leads to the third step, or third conditions created through mindfulness of the mind. So here we become more sensitive, more aware of the state of our mind. And usually the Buddha will present it as whether the mind is together with something that agitates it, like the mind is together with anger, or the mind is free of anger. The mind is together with attachment, or clinging, or craving, or the mind is free of attachment, craving, clinging. Whether the mind is together with confusion, with doubts, or the mind is free of confusion and doubts. And likewise, the more common one is whether the mind is together with sleepiness, or the mind is free of sleepiness. Yeah. And the other end is the mind is together with agitations, the mind is or restlessness, or the mind is free of agitation and restlessness. Okay, so this comes naturally as a result of cultivating mindfulness of body, mindfulness of feelings. Very naturally, it enhance and enable us to be mindful of our mind. Okay? And with that, we become more aware of whether there are hindrances maybe present that negatively affect our meditation. Whether there's, I mentioned a few of them, attachment, anger, restlessness and worries, or restlessness and being restless and anxious. The fourth one is called lethargy and laxity. And this is on the other end of downers, heaviness, sleepiness. Yeah. And the last one is doubt, okay, which is associated with confusion. So if any of the five hindrances are present, we are aware of them, we notice their impact on our experience in meditation. They tend to agitate us, there are imbalances in our attention. Yeah. And whereas there are occasions where we are quite free of five of them. They're nowhere in sight, and we are meditating quite happily and peacefully. Yeah. Okay. And last week I mentioned that so the whole point of meditation is get to a point where we become more aware of what is influencing the mind in meditation, and also refining our ability to work with these imbalances, to bring the mind back to balance, to release the attachment, release the anger, and so forth, and to invite the mind to dwell in a more positive states, more peaceful states. And last week I was saying, and to really go deep into absorption, then on top of all this, we need to, in particular, allow the mind to come into contact with happiness. The Buddha, which is the basis or the source of this presentation, the Buddha said in his teaching, a happy mind is also a concentrated mind. By that, it means that when you are able to bring happiness to the mind, a happy mind is one that finds it very easy to concentrate, to focus. Right? And conversely, an unhappy mind finds it really, really hard to concentrate, to focus. Yeah. So to go deeper, additional conditions will require us to really bring happiness into our awareness in meditation, to be aware, to dwell, to be in touch with happy feelings. Yeah. And through that contact, it really helps to, what it does is it starts to gather back all the scattered energy of our attention. And that attention come back and gathered and steady itself on or in our meditation, on whatever it is we are meditating. And that's the process for us to go really deep, to achieve a state of calm abiding, and even deeper into deeper states of meditative absorptions. Right. So I thought we're going to do a meditation where we can test out some of these ideas that I just reviewed. And in particular, I like to, in this meditation, we can try out or explore what happens if, with the support of the breath, but not just the breath, but as we attend to the natural breath, especially now in this case, the in breath, as we breathe in, what happens if we allow ourselves to imagine that we breathe in not just oxygen, but we breathe in something really positive, really uplifting, really nice. And we're going to symbolize that with whatever image that works for you. I usually use the image of light, brightness, radiance. So we breathe in and we invite in this sense of brightness and radiance with a very positive connotation, and breathe that into our system, into our chest, allow it to touch or fill up our lungs, to touch our heart, and then progressively spread that to all the different parts of our body, literally transforming our body into a body of light. Okay, so this is one meditation that I quite often guide. And so within this meditation, we will try to bring about mindfulness of body, since we are going to reconnect our attention with the different parts of the body. And we try to practice mindfulness of feelings, in particular, like, as we breathe in this light, we try to facilitate a sense of positive feelings, bring some positive feelings into our meditation. And also we try to facilitate mindfulness of the mind. Light, visualizing light, imagining light, contacting light is one way in meditation to uplift the mind. If the mind feels very sleepy, very dull, very low, then imagining light, dwelling on the notion of light helps to uplift the mind, energize the mind. So we see whether in doing this, we are able to bring about a change in our experience in meditation. Okay, so let's do a meditation together and just test it out. So in the privacy or wherever you are, I invite you to find a suitable posture for your body. Be it sitting on a chair like what I'm doing now. You can sit on the floor, on a cushion. You can also lie down on your back, on a firm surface, on a yoga mat, on a firm bed, whatever. Just try to find a posture that is really supportive of your body in meditation and does not introduce unnecessary pain or discomfort into your body. So I'm going to ring the bell to signal the start of the meditation. So let's take a few moments, help our body to find its way into the meditation posture we have adopted, taking care that we allow the body to feel well supported in this posture. So make sure that we provide a very stable base. So those of us sitting on the chair, we try to have both feet firmly planted on the ground to provide a sense of support. If you are sitting on the ground, we try to have a cross-leg posture that is supportive. And that goes without saying if you are lying on your back. Allow the body to feel that in this posture it is well supported, well balanced, and therefore safe. Allow it to feel that it's resting on a very stable, firm support. And precisely because it is safe, your body may feel that it is okay now to start to release some of those tensions, tightness that are not needed or that are unnecessary. Allow it to begin and continue a process of unwinding, of loosening up, and settling down into the posture. So that's the first step, acquiring a supportive seat for our body in meditation. And for the second step, helping body and mind to shift gears, to come more fully into meditation, we're going to make use of the breath as a support. So let's first see if we can connect our attention with the different breath sensations in our body. See if you can allow yourself to become aware of the flow of the breath within your body. Maybe you notice breath sensations at your nostrils, the touch of air flowing in and out of the body. Maybe you notice the movements of the chest, expanding and contracting. Or some of us may even notice the movements of the abdomen rising and falling. So see if we can rest our attention on some of these sensations of the breath and allow ourselves to fully experience the in-breath and the out-breath. For the first few minutes of this meditation, we mainly focus on the out-breath, the natural out-breath. See if you can notice the sense of release each time we breathe out naturally. And we can make use of the natural out-breath to help us to deepen the sense of release, to remind our body that it can release any unnecessary tightening, tensions. Breathing out, you might find it helpful in your mind to say the word release as a reminder. maybe some of those tensions and discomfort in the body might just flow away with the out breath. So let's start with the face, where we do have more conscious control. And as you breathe out, invite your face to release some of those tightening, those tensions. Could be in your forehead, could be around your eyes, could be in your jaw. And see if you can welcome in a feeling of softness, of ease and comfort into your own face. So as usual, coming back to the breath, not to be frustrated if the mind is distracted elsewhere. Simply invite your attention to just come back to the breath, reconnect with the breath. And with each out breath, see if we can facilitate the deepening of the sense of release. And we can allow this process of releasing to just continue on its own, that the body and mind can continue to release, put aside unnecessary tensions and agitations, so that they can really settle more and more into the meditation. Now we turn our attention to the third step, the actual meditation on a body of light. And here, with the help of the power of our imagination, we want to invite into our meditation something really positive, uplifting, empowering. We can symbolize this positive energy or pleasant experience, for example, in the form of light. So we imagine breathing in a sense of brightness and radiance. Doesn't have to be light. You are most welcome to choose a different image, a different symbolic image. You might like to breathe in a sense of space, if that is helpful. Breathe in a feeling of warmth or coolness or whichever. And you can also breathe in other visual images. Some people like to breathe in different colored light. You might like to breathe in light of golden yellow, which symbolize abundance, wealth, richness. You can also breathe in individual images that come to you spontaneously, that are meaningful and that symbolize or represent to you something really positive and uplifting. So there are many possibilities. And I'm going to just describe with the word light. So coming back to the breath, breathing in, be aware of your in-breath and remind yourself with each in-breath, you're letting in oxygen, fresh air. fresh air that flows into your lungs, into your blood, into every cell in the body to sustain life, to facilitate repair, growth, to facilitate your sense of well-being and happiness. So coming back to the breath, noticing the in-breath, we can breathe in more than oxygen. Why not breathe in something really positive? For example, light, brightness, radiance. Give it a color if you like, but breathe that in along with your in-breath and allow it to fill up your lungs, your chest, allow it to touch your heart. Coming back to the breath sensations in your body and really imagine letting in something radiant, bright, allowing it to fill up your chest, to touch your heart. And then at your own pace, imagine this really bright, radiant light starts to spread, just like oxygen, maybe upwards into the shoulders. Imagine it flowing into the different cells, the tissues, the muscles. Also imagine it illuminating the spaces between the cells. Just tell yourself while you're imagining that these lights bring something really positive, uplifting, healing to the different parts of your body. Wherever it touches, it brings something really good to yourself, to your body and mind. Coming back to the breath, breathing in, letting in more light. Imagine the light spread from the chest, up into the shoulders, across the shoulders, and now imagine the light flow into both arms at the same time. Touching, transforming, filling up all the muscles, the organs, the structures as it goes. Filling up, touching your upper arms, your elbows. And as you do so, see if you can also become aware of the sensations at these different parts of your body. Moving at your own pace, in your own way. Don't feel that you need to follow exactly what I'm saying. Imagine the light flows into the forearms, the wrists, into both hands, the palms of the hands, the back of the hands, slowly, gradually down the fingers, all the way to the fingertips. So that not only are you now aware of sensations in both arms, both hands, but you're also imagining that they're filled with light, with brightness, with radiance. Give permission and rest both arms. Allow them to settle comfortably on their support. Don't feel that you need to tense up, tighten your arm muscles to hold them up in any particular way. Just let them go. So coming back to the breath, feel free to do that again and again. Let's allow the light to flow upwards into the neck muscles, into the spaces among the cells, touching the throat, with something really bright and radiant or any other positive qualities, while at the same time reconnecting your attention with bodily sensations, with any feelings, especially pleasant feelings. Let the light flows into your head. Allow it to illuminate your whole face. Allow it to help to soften your face, relax the muscles of the face. Imagine it touching all parts of your head, the sides, the back, the top, inside your head, including your brain. Coming back to the breath, now that you have filled your upper body with light, let's move downwards as we breathe in more light, more radiance. Allow it to flow downwards from the chest, past the diaphragm, into the abdomen, nourishing all the vital organs here, touching the muscles, the skin, filling up the spaces with light, taking care not only of the front of the body, but also attend to the back of the body. And let the light gathered at the pelvis, filling up this part of your body, flowing into the various organs, the powerful muscles here, and really helping you to rest the weight of the pelvis comfortably on your seat, on the floor if you're lying down or sitting down on the floor. Facilitate the process of surrendering the weight of your pelvis comfortably onto the ground, onto its support. And then allow the light at your own pace to travel down both legs at the same time, starting from the hips, moving down both legs, once again filling them up with light, with positive energy. Breathe in more light. Allow it to flow past the knees, down towards the ankles, moving at your own pace. And eventually, imagine the light flow into both feet, the soles of the feet, the top of the feet, including the toes, so that all parts of your body is completely illuminated by the light. Rest your body in the posture. Rest your mind in meditation with the breath, with the image of a body of light, radiant, bright. Rest your attention on any pleasant feelings that might be here, however mild or weak they may be. And see if you can, when you are distracted, to just invite your attention to come back. Come back to the breath as you continue to breathe in and out of a body of light. And then at the end of the meditation, see if you can highlight to yourself anything positive, anything pleasant, anything good that come out of this meditation. And dedicate that may any of these positive features, aspects of the meditation, may they stay with us, may they linger in body and mind, so that they can continue to benefit us. So that's just a short meditation illustrating a few things that I have covered previously. Mindfulness of body, feeling, mindfulness of the mind, and in particular from last week, the relationship between finding or coming to a happy mind and helping how that can help us to deepen our experience of concentration. So today I want to talk a little bit more about calm abiding and states of meditative absorption. So in the context that I'm presenting this teaching, which draws from the Buddhist tradition, yeah, actually, one way of looking at it is what we call calm abiding is you can think of it as the threshold or the doorway. The doorway that separate before calm abiding is our more ordinary, usual experiences. Beyond, at the calm abiding and beyond, experiences that we can call states of deep absorption of attention. So we, in terms of terminology, in the presentation of this whole topic of meditative absorption, sometimes calm abiding is viewed as the threshold. So we work ourselves up to the point where we achieve this state of calm abiding. It has a very kind of specific kind of experience when we arrive there. We achieve it. It's characterized by overcoming a lot of the tension, the knots, in our body, as well as all the different agitation of the mind. It's characterized by the release of all these different so-called knots of physical and mental knots, and then the experience is a feeling of sometimes it's called pliancy, or other people translate as tranquility. Pliancy is more the physical aspect. The body becomes really very pliant, very workable, very serviceable. It's no longer giving you any trouble in meditation. It's like the body just settles into meditation and you are perfectly happy, physically. And mentally, also something similar happens. The mind becomes serviceable, workable. And so sometimes people translate it as, more in relation to mind, as tranquility. The mind becomes tranquil, peaceful, no more struggle, no more fighting and frustration, none of those agitations are gone. So calm abiding is a state marked by the development very prominently of these physical and mental pliancies. And so the body and mind become very workable, very serviceable in meditation. They are no longer fighting against us. In fact, they go along with whatever it is we want to do in meditation, and also accompanied by very pleasant feelings. Sometimes we use the word bliss, very blissful experiences. So when that happens, and it covers the whole body, not just one part of it. Yeah, we can say we achieve the threshold of calm abiding. Sometimes also called access, like gain access, access concentration. So it gives us access to deeper level of meditative absorptions. Yeah, where in fact we can actually go much deeper, or much more profound, more focused, more concentrated. And there are 4 levels of the deeper absorptions, sometimes known by the Indian word or Pali word called jhana, or in Sanskrit it's called dhyana. Yeah, so I thought just to describe the first level, the first jhana or dhyana. The Pali word is more famous in the Buddhist meditation circle, the first jhana. So I thought I'll just read out and talk a little bit about this state, and then I want to present my so-called lower standard, more accessible level. So in the sutras, the records of the Buddha's discourse, there is a description. There are actually many descriptions. They repeat. Yeah. And I just read out the first level, the first jhana. So it reads, there is the case where a monk or practitioner, quite withdrawn from sensuality, withdrawn from unskillful qualities, enters and remains in the first jhana. Okay, right until this is talking about, after that comes the description, but before we enters into the jhana, there are 2 kind of prerequisites. The mind and body, especially the mind, are quite withdrawn or secluded from sensuality. Sensuality means our attachment to our physical senses. Right? We are no longer so preoccupied with the pleasures that come through stimulating the eyes or the ears, the nose, the tongue, the body. Quite withdrawn. So we are quite happy to put that aside. Withdrawn from unskillful qualities, or secluded is another way of talking about. Separated from unskillful qualities of the mind. So unskillful qualities include like the hindrances, like attachment, craving, or anger, or restlessness, or worries, or laxity, downness, or doubts, confusion. So quite separate from all these unskillful qualities of the mind and heart. Then, and it's only then can we enter into the first level of absorption, the first jhana. It's characterized by rapture and pleasure born from seclusion. So there is a kind of pleasure and rapture to come when the body and mind is separated from all those hindrances, separated from all those craving, and there's this quality of, you can call it peacefulness, but it's actually much more pleasant than that. Yeah. So rapture and pleasure born from seclusion, accompanied by directed thought and evaluation. So actually there are 4 things here: rapture, pleasures, also together with what is called directed thought and evaluation. There's 4 factors here, which I will talk more about in a moment. He permeates, the practitioner, the meditator, permeates and pervades, suffuses and fill up this very body with the rapture and pleasure born from seclusion. There is nothing of his entire body unpervaded by rapture and pleasure born from seclusion. It's like the meditator allowed those feelings of rapture or pleasure, or sometimes instead of pleasure, I've been calling it the happiness of contentment. Yeah, allowing those really wonderful feelings to spread and permeate all parts of his or her body and mind as well. Yeah. And along come a simile, an image that the Buddha gave of this state. And I wouldn't read this because it's talking about this image is no longer applicable in our modern world. It's talking about using bath powder, soap powder. And somehow I don't know what sort of soap powder they use in ancient India, but you have to sprinkle water on it, and then you knead it, bring it together into like a ball of soap in order to use it. But I think the more modern image is like when you're making bread, and you add water to the flour, and then you have to knead it so that the moisture is evenly distributed throughout the dough. It's almost like there's no part of the dough it's not one part is too wet and another part is too dry. Is that the moisture is completely and evenly distributed throughout the entire dough. So, and the image implies some effort, some kind of energy. You need to work the dough to spread the moisture throughout, right? So the moisture here stands for the rapture and the pleasure of meditation, right? And there is almost like an idea at this level of the first absorption that some kind of a little bit of energy and work involved in permeating that rapture and pleasure throughout our being, of our body and mind. So that is an image, that is the description of the first level of absorption. And let's look a little bit more at some of the 4 factors that it talks about that characterize this level of absorption. I thought that can be helpful to give us a kind of idea where we might be heading if we are particularly interested in doing this type of meditation, this type of calm abiding meditation. It's good to sometimes have an image, although it may not be exact. Where are we going? What to expect somewhere further down the road. Yeah, there is a lot of emphasis on the experience of this kind of blissful, pleasant experience that come out of our meditation. Right? So pleasure is a very important aspect of calm abiding meditation or meditative absorption. It's almost as if you cannot ignore it. Right? So there are 2 types of pleasant sensations, which I mentioned previously. Rapture is the more energetic aspect. So quite often people experience it as some kind of vibrations, or I always call it buzzing, as a very energetic and a much more physical aspect to it. What is translated here as pleasure, or normally I call it happiness of contentment. That one is much more refined, much more settled, more subtle, more associated with the mind. It's a kind of very peaceful kind of pleasant experience. The experience of feeling very contented, very at peace and at ease. Yeah. So these are the 2 kind of pleasant sensations that are associated with first jhana. And then there are these 2 other factors which are especially controversial. One is called directed thoughts, and the other one is called evaluations. Vitakka and vichara. There are a lot of debates going on on how to translate and how to interpret these 2 factors. Some people think that deep absorption does not involve any thoughts. You cannot have any thoughts at all. There's no thinking at all in deep meditative absorption. So if you follow that way of describing it, then these 2 factors cannot be called thought and evaluation, because that involves thinking. So they translate those 2 terms as initial application of attention and sustained application of attention. Right? So it's interpreted differently. I like to interpret them as, just as the word says, thinking and evaluation. And so this is my what I call low standard interpretation of a state of absorption. And you can take it with a pinch of salt. Don't have to believe everything I say. But what happens if we can envision a state of absorption, not very deep, which means although there is a pleasant feelings arise, the mind is not 100% quiet, not 100% without thought. There is a little bit of thinking, that thinking and evaluation, a little bit of it. Not so strong that we get distracted by them, we get drawn into them and caught up in them. It's almost like a kind of whispering. Thoughts come and go, and they are not so compelling that we feel or we allow our attention to be drawn into them. So it's like a whispering at the back or in the background. We are aware of something is happening, some thoughts, some movements, but they are not so disruptive. And this is what I call a low standard version of absorption. And so if we define it this way, it makes it a lot easier to achieve, right? Because it doesn't. The other one, where you have absolutely no thought, or you feel very blissful and peaceful, but absolutely no thoughts. Okay, that level of meditative absorption is possible, but require a lot of practice. And also require quite special conditions at first to achieve it. The situation or the circumstances must be quite special. Like usually it happens when people go on long meditation retreat. Long means like not 10 days. Long means like 1 year or more. And you devote all your time and energy to meditation. You're in an environment that is very specifically catered to meditation, very quiet, or quite often isolated also. And in that environment, you are devoting all your time and energy to meditation. You have very little distraction. You reduce your activities. In other words, you are not busy running here and there doing all sorts of things. Most of your time and energy is devoted to meditation, to cultivating meditative absorptions. Now, if you can find that kind of conditions, which this American Buddhist teacher Alan Wallace talked a lot about it, and he was very active in trying to create in our modern world situation where people actually can go, places where people can actually go and enter into such serious, committed meditation practice to achieve this state of calm abiding or even deeper meditative absorption. Yeah. Since I am not in that conditions, and likewise most of you listening and tuning to this live stream are not in that position, it makes it kind of a bit funny, right? The goal, if we make that the goal, we are not actually in a position at this moment of accomplishing it because we don't have that special conditions. So, like what I've been saying, well, why not settle for or redefine a goal that is much lower standard than that, yeah, but quite accessible to us, yeah. And the idea I'm trying to sell here is it is also possible to achieve much lesser, much more lower level of concentration, where we have something similar, not the same, but similar, where we have rapture and pleasure or happiness. But nonetheless, because it's not so high standard, it will be periodically, there will be some kind of thinking going on. The thinking and evaluation mentioned in the text that I just read from. And this is, I think, quite possible for most of us, especially if we're willing to devote some time and energy to it in our daily life. And also, I'm not looking at achieving an absorption that lasts for hours and hours. The deep absorption you can sustain it for, let's say, 4 hours in one go. My standard is much lower. Well, but in half an hour of meditation, 10 minutes you're able to bring together some of these conditions, and you can enter into a fairly deep state of absorption, deep state of concentration. Wouldn't that be nice, isn't it? And the way we can facilitate happening here and now for ourselves, the trick is notice the emphasis placed in that description on rapture and happiness. So that gives us a clue of how we can gain some access to, and how we can really bring our mind and attention together to develop concentration. And the trick is to give attention, to pay attention to the pleasant feelings, the pleasant sensations that come out of our meditation. So when we meditate, it doesn't need to wait too long. Once we get to the hang of it, quite often we already start to notice very early in our meditation journey, there's something very nice and pleasant happening in our body, in our mind, in our meditation. Those are feelings of pleasures. And so what we need to learn is, how can I enhance that pleasure? Like the image given, how can I permeate and pervade? How can I suffuse and fuse the body with the feeling of rapture and pleasure? It's almost like the image of kneading the dough, the flour with moisture, with water, kneading and spreading the moisture so that it envelops the entire dough with just enough water, not too much so that it's soggy, but not too little so that there are parts of the flour is still dry and crumbly. No. So just all the moisture evenly distributed throughout the entire body of that bread dough. So likewise, how can I allow those pleasant feelings to come out of my meditation, be it rapture or the happiness of contentment? How can I allow it to spread and fill up my entire body and mind? And in so doing, helps to attract my attention to come back here and now into the meditation, come back and become concentrated on my object of meditation. So the trick is to give your attention to these pleasant sensations while they are here. And when you're doing it, when you're noticing them, when, let's say, one shoulder relax, feels very nice, and I attend to that feeling of relief, the feeling of pleasure, I invite it into my awareness, into my meditation, and let it be. The important thing to note is you must just let it be. Don't try to do funny things with it. Sometimes we say, oh, come on, get stronger, get more intense. Sometimes we try to sort of push it, or try to like prematurely try to spread it. All right, now go. Stronger, spread wider. So we are trying to use our willpower to somehow make it go faster. Yeah. So that is not helpful. Don't do it. In fact, all we need to do is to notice the pleasure, invite into our awareness, and let it be there. At first, the pleasures are very unstable because our meditation is unstable, so they stay and then they disappear. They fade very quickly. But that's fine. It's good to cultivate the habit of noticing whenever pleasures, rapture arise in our meditation, and invite it into our awareness and just let it be. At first they come and go quite quickly because they're very weak, they're very unstable. But as we settle more and more deeply into our meditation, they come more and more frequently, and sometimes they come more and more intensely. The sensations become stronger. Regardless of whatever it is, when it comes up, make it a part of your meditation. Welcome it in to your meditation experience, into your awareness, and just let it be. Let it be there as long as it lasts, and let it go when it starts to fade away. you will find that there come a point of time, not at the beginning, but when you are more proficient in your meditation, when your whole system is actually much more settled, by giving attention at that point to pleasures, to happiness, to rapture, that becomes the key to bring together all those scattered energy of your attention and propel you even deeper into meditative absorption. Okay, so that's the idea I would like to present to you, encourage you to try out and see whether you never know, one day, maybe today, right now, or the next session, the conditions can come together and you get a taste of this, my lower standard of absorption, which is actually quite nice when it happens, when the factors come together, even though maybe it doesn't last very long, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but within that 10 minutes, you say, hey, something quite special is happening here. I feel so at peace, and you feel so blissful or peaceful, and the the attention is for quite a long time, within 10 minutes, let's say, doesn't seem to go away. It seems to, most of the time, seems to be here with whatever it is I'm meditating. Could be the breath, could be an image, could be whatever. Yeah, it just stay put. There may be a little bit of thoughts in the background floating here and there, but they are not major distraction. Right? And in fact, the overall feeling is one of really settling down, settling back here and now in meditation. And I really think that is quite available to most of us if we are willing to put some energy and put some time into cultivating our meditation practice. Okay, so I think maybe we can do another short meditation. And in this meditation, which is usual meditation on the breath, I will guide you through it. I invite you to pay special attention to this idea that I just talked about, this condition that we can create, which is to welcome into our awareness any pleasant sensations that come out of our meditation. And not to do anything to them, not to mess around with them, but just let them be. Let them be in our awareness so that we are aware of them, we notice them, almost as if we allow ourselves to enjoy them while they're here. We're not making funny things about them. We're not trying to make them move here, move there, make them stay longer, make them grow stronger. We're not going to do any of those things. We're just going to just let them be. And what we are doing is we are feeding them the energy of our awareness, energy of our mindful attention. That's all we're doing. And you will find that even though we are almost doing nothing, this act of attending to the pleasant sensations will actually encourage them to come more often, encourage them to grow in their own way, and eventually this becomes the conditions that would help us to gather up all the scattered attention and help us to enter into deep concentration. Okay, so let's do a short meditation just to highlight this particular point that I just made. Yeah. So take a few moments and adjust yourself, maybe stretch a bit. After all, I've been talking for quite a while. You have been listening to this for quite a while. Stretch a bit, and then when you feel ready, just let your body settle back into a comfortable, supportive posture. See if you can start by allowing the body to find its way into your meditation posture, making sure that the body feels well supported, well balanced in this posture. So that's the first step, acquiring a seat for the body. And for the second step, we're going to really spend some time at this step of helping body and mind to transition into meditation. And the simple way we do that is to return our attention, to come back, to be in touch with our own body. And we do that with the help of the breath, synchronized with the natural breath. So that when we breathe in, we take it as a cue to come back, to be in touch with sensations at the different parts of the body. And when we breathe out, we encourage, we remind our body and mind to release. So starting at the crown of the head, topmost part of the body, just very lightly, without much effort, rest your attention at the crown. Synchronize with your breath. Breathe in, be aware of sensations at the crown. Breathe out, release. Touch and release at the crown at your own pace with as little effort as you can manage. And then let's move on. Allow attention to alight at the forehead, somewhere between the eyebrows. Likewise, with very little effort, breathe in, be in touch with sensations here, with sensations at your own face. When you breathe out, remind yourself to release. Touch and release at your forehead at your own pace. See if you can really let in a feeling of softness into your own face, and see if you can allow yourself to enjoy any pleasant sensations, however slight or weak it may be. Let them come fully into your awareness and just let them be. And then let's move further down to the throat. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, be in touch with sensations at the throat. Out and release at your own pace. And then likewise, with very little effort, shift your attention to the right shoulder. Pick a spot at the right shoulder. Breathe in, be in touch with sensations here at the right shoulder. Breathe out and release. And then let's move down to the right elbow. Touch and release at the right elbow. Let's move down to the right wrist. Touch and release at your own pace. Remember, with just a light touch. Then let your attention flow into the right hand so that as you breathe in, you're in touch with sensations at the right hand. As you breathe out, release. Release the weight of your right arm. Just allow it to rest comfortably on its support. And remember, at any point, if you do notice any slight sense of relief, relaxation, or pleasure, welcome it into your awareness and let it be. And let's switch to the left side, starting at the left shoulder. Breathe in, be in touch, out and release at the left shoulder. Feel free to move at your own pace. Stay longer at one spot if you like. Just ignore me and rejoin the flow when you feel like it. Now I'm going to move on to the left elbow, touch and release at the left elbow. Moving down to the left wrist, touch and release. And then let the attention flow into the left hand. Be in touch while we breathe in, release while we breathe out at our own pace. And see if we can give permission for the left arm also to rest comfortably on its support. Coming back to the body, to the chest, to the center of the chest, where we call our heart center. Breathe in, be in touch, be aware of sensations here. Breathe out, we try to deepen the sense of release. And then we release our attention from the heart center to allow it to descend, to go deeper to the abdomen, slightly below our navel, the center of the abdomen. Breathe in to this spot, be aware, be in touch. Breathe out and release. Sometimes the body may respond a bit slower. Release may happen at a part of the body after we have passed it by. When you do notice any sense of release, relaxation, remember to welcome it in. Allow yourself to enjoy that slight feeling of pleasure or relaxation and let it be within your awareness. Moving further down to the base of the spine, the tip of our tailbone. Breathe in, be in touch with sensations here, out and release. Release your pelvis, allow its weight to rest comfortably on your seat. And then we are going to go down the right leg, starting at the right hip joint. Breathe into the right hip, just choose a spot, doesn't have to be exact. Be in touch here as you breathe in, out and release. Moving down to the right knee, feel free to move at your own pace. Touch and release. And then moving further down to the right ankle. Breathe in, be aware of sensations here. Out and release at the right ankle. And allow your attention to flow into your right foot so that as you breathe in, you're aware, you're in touch with sensations here. As you breathe out, release. Release the weight of your right leg. Just let it rest comfortably on the floor. Switching to the left side, starting at the left hip joint. Breathe in, be in touch. Out and release at your own pace. Moving down to the left knee, touch and release. Continue down to the left ankle, touch and release. Let attention flow into left foot, touch and release. Imagine releasing the weight of the left leg. Just allow it to rest comfortably on the floor on its support. Rest your body in the posture. Imagine allow it to continue to unwind, to loosen up, to really settle down and settle back comfortably into the posture, into stillness. Rest your attention, your mind with the body, bodily sensations, with the breath sensations flowing in and out. Breathing out, continue to deepen the sense of release. And for the last few minutes of the meditation, see if you can really allow in any feeling of pleasures, of comfort, of ease. Let them come into your awareness and let them just be in your awareness without the need of you to do anything to them, apart from noticing them, enjoying them while they're here. Make them an integral part of your meditation experience and see what happens. Okay, so throughout this course, I share some ideas and related to how to develop meditative absorption, deep concentration. So it's good not to believe what I say. Take it with a pinch of salt, but more important is to test it out in your own meditation practice and see what is useful or helpful for yourself. And so this brings me to the end of this series on blissful abiding of body and mind. Next week, I will start on a new series related to meditation on it's called Working with Emotions. So I like to explore how with different meditative practices we can work creatively with our different emotions, different emotional experiences, be it pleasant or unpleasant. So you're most welcome to tune in. So I leave you with this, and thank you very much for your attention, and wish you a good evening, and hope to see you. Hope that you tune in next week. All right. Good night.